for being here for this groundbreaking webinar, which we're going to be talking about inclusive design. I'm looking forward to hear everybody alongside Sean and Lena, who will be talking about neurodiversity, which is fantastic. So yeah, so please, we'll give you 2 minutes. We're all here, and we're going to start in about 2 to 3 minutes. So please put your message of where you're from. I've got my co-host Davisen as well, who'll be looking at. So here we go. Yeah, I've just got a link from you, so thank you. Please put a message to say hello to all the speakers, a hi from wherever you are, so then the speakers can. So Sean and Lena, can you see the Q&A tab?
Yes, I can.
Yeah, excellent, excellent. So fantastic. And we've already got 100 participants joining us right now. And thank you for being here, everybody. Hugely appreciate as always. We're going to start in about 2 to 3 minutes. So we'll do a formal introduction as we go through. If you're hearing dogs barking, that's Artie's neighbor's dog.
Yes, unfortunately.
It seems they haven't been fed properly at night. So we will see how we can manage the webinar with those, with our co-friends. Yeah, so we're getting your message through, and my colleague Davison will manage it. So we've got, you know, can see Ruan from South Africa, Henry from Nigeria, Prana from Mauritius, Chris from Mauritius. So yeah, Chris, my colleague, Chris Padachi, who's a fantastic friend who's here as well. But thank you for everybody for being here. So we're going to start in 1 minute. Formally, and really looking forward for this groundbreaking webinar. So Artie, if I start with you, if you could just say a quick hello to everybody, and yeah, just a quick good morning, and how's things on your side, and then if you're looking forward to talk about as well.
Yes, hello everyone. I'm so glad to be part of this webinar this morning. I'm glad that you're joining us as well. So stay tuned till the end. Don't move, don't leave us. It's going to be wonderful, and you'll learn lots of things, I hope, from us.
Awesome. Thank you, Artie. Thank you very much indeed for that. I'll pass on to Abhishek. Abhishek, please again introduce yourself and what you'll be talking about later on.
Hi everybody, I am Abhishek, and welcome to the webinar today. So my presentation will be based on hands partiality, about those person who has a disability, likewise one arms or no arms, and how what kind of proposal we can give for them. And I will share my experience about, and let's see how is life on both sides.
Fantastic. Thank you very much, Abhishek, for this awesome statement. We've got Davison. Davison, again, please introduce yourself. Davison will be my co-host, so I'll let you introduce everything, Davison.
Yeah, so good morning, everyone. Thank you for being here, the participants and the panelists. So I'm Davison. I will be Annie's co-host in case there's some kind of power failure or internet failure. I'll be taking over. I will also be monitoring the Q&A tabs. So just make sure you send maximum of your questions, and we'll be taking them.
Maximum of questions. Wow. Okay, yeah. Thanks, Davison. The pressure is on the speakers then. Sean, yeah, thank you very much from the UK. Sean, please introduce yourself and what you'll be talking about today. And yeah.
Hi, everybody. Hi to the panelists. Hi to everybody joining in. Yeah, I'm Sean Gilroy. I'm the head of cognitive design at the BBC and also the co-creator of BBC CAPE, which is the BBC's neurodiversity initiative. And myself and Lena, I'll hand to Lena in a minute, we'll be talking about neurodiversity, what that is, just a bit of a brief introduction to that and some of the things that we've done, and we'll be happy to take any questions that people have about it.
Thank you very much, Sean. Thank you again. Again, hugely appreciated to have you from the UK. And I know it's early there, 7 o'clock in the morning. So again, we can't thank you enough from Mauritius. Lena, please introduce yourself. Again, if you can please talk about, a bit yourself and what you're going to be talking about today.
Sure. Thanks everyone. I'm really glad to be here. So my name's Lena. I work as a user experience designer at the BBC alongside Sean on an initiative called BBC CAPE, which stands for Creating a Positive Environment. So we're working towards creating a an inclusive environment for people who are in the neurodiverse area. Myself, I identify as neurodivergent, and I'll be talking a little bit about neurodiversity and what it means to have a differently wired brain. So it will start basically with a personal perspective on what it's like to be neurodivergent. So looking forward to speaking later.
Okay, thank you very much indeed, Lena. Thank you again from the UK. Can't thank you enough. 7 o'clock in the morning right now. Absolutely, big thank you from all of us, from the speakers, from all the participants. We present Yasin, who actually met the Queen. So we have the honor and privilege to welcome Yasin. Yasin, can you please introduce yourself and what you're going to be talking about today?
Good morning, everyone. I'm very happy to be part of this groundbreaking webinar, along with Anil and my other two friends. Today, I'm going to do my presentation firstly on my life story, and also about how I managed to surpass the different challenges in my life, and also as a disability activist, how I've been able to reach, like Anil has said, make it up to Buckingham Palace. So I'm very happy. I'm looking forward. I'm also going, as a disability activist, I'm also going to talk about why inclusive design matters, and also finally on accessibility and my message to everyone, and especially to persons with disabilities.
Okay, Yasin, that's look like a presentation in itself. So thank you very much indeed, Yasin. Thank you very much indeed. Again, I can't thank you all for being here today, and thank you to all the participants. So we're going to start. If I ask everybody, please, to switch off their video, and then we will get there. So Sean and Lena will join us in about an hour. And then Arti. So Arti, I'm going to switch your video off, and then I'm going to ask you to stop again, yeah? So I'm going to stop your video, Arti. Okay, so I'm going to start now. So thank you very much indeed. And I'm going to share my screen with you right now. I also need to put Arti on mute. Let's just make sure we have Arti on mute, because Arti's got few neighbors' dogs. Just one sec. Okay, Arti, I've just mute. So yeah, you're on mute now. Okay, fantastic. And I'm gonna share the screen. Yeah. Okay. Okay, so we start. If everybody can see my screen, if you can put your hands up, please. Okay, so just making sure you're seeing my video. All right, fantastic. All right, thank you. So we're starting now. Thank you for being here. We're looking to get all the speakers through. We'll have plenty of questions, some groundbreaking videos as well for all of you. So thank you very much. And obviously, Davsen, let me know once the video is on as well. Right, so we've got everything. Okay. So thank you, everybody. Good morning from Mauritius, and good morning to all my colleagues in Mauritius. Good morning to all the professionals in Mauritius. Good morning to all professionals around the world. Thank you for being here for this webinar CPD talk, which I believe is groundbreaking with all the colleagues right now. And we'll be talking about why inclusive design matters. Really, really important. So we'll do a small bit of housekeeping. I'll do a small introduction. Abhishek will be the first speaker. He talked about 20 minutes. We'll get Yasin afterwards. Arti on the third speaker. We'll then have Sean, Lena, and then we'll have lots of questions. But in between as well, we will take your questions. So please put your question in. So thank you. Just quick housekeeping for those of you who are new. In terms of my PC, you have the view option on PC top of screen. So you can adjust your screen as and when. Audio screen on PC, again, on the left-hand side of your screen, you will see the audio, so you can adjust that. If you need to confirm, raise icon, please raise your little hand icon, please, just to confirm that it's working. Thank you very much indeed. We will put all your questions, your Q&A tab, your comments, your statement through the Q&A tab. And then if you want to leave the meeting, not because you're bored, but just because of personal reason, or you need to go somewhere, you can just leave meeting, which is right hand side of your screen. We'll have lots of poll as well, lots of Q&A as well. So massive thank you for everybody for being here, and for again for all the speakers as well. So we'll have a certificate attendance, and we will be looking at the 1 hour plus today. So please, please, please email me today after you finish, so can I have a certificate attendance, and then we'll make sure you get a certificate attendance. So the presenters, you've seen the flyer. Abhishek is a motivational speaker, BBA, MBA. We will then have Mohammed Yassin Edu, who is the winners of the Winner Queen's Young Leader Award. As you can see this awesome picture, which I think will remain for the rest of our life, looking at this picture, and so proud of Yassin to really meet the Queen. We have Lena Haig, Senior UX Designer from BBC User Experience and Design. We also have Artie Burtony, who is the disability right activist, LLB, MBA, and artist visually impaired. We have Sean Kilroy, UX Principal and Cognitive Design, and BBC Neurodiversity Lead, BBC User Experience and Design. And then finally, I mentioned Lena already. So who I am then, I think most of you know me, so I'm not going to delay too much on that. Love construction, love learning, love sharing, love people, 18 years in construction industry, and passionate about giving back to industry worldwide. So just to let you know where this came from, the inclusive design, I am, and I'm still working in the industry. So I'm a chartered building surveyor, project manager. And as you can see here on my screen, I used to do special needs work in the UK, in London. I was working for London Borough of Enfield, adapting people homes in terms of level access shower, adapting the bedroom, adapting the toilets, adapting their bathroom, adapting the entire home, adapting external work like ramps and things. So I was doing that for at least 5 years with the London Borough of Enfield. So this was part of my scope, but other scope as well. But special need was close to my heart. And, something, I did my dissertation on it, I did my research on it, and something I really champion, being part of something inclusive and making sure that, we have access to everyone. So I'm going to start with a quick survey before we really kick off the presentation. And the first survey will be going out to everybody, and be honest about yourself. And the first survey goes on as to who knows what inclusive design is. So if you don't know, you don't know. If you know, please put it in. But who knows what inclusive design is? You've got about 30 seconds left, but make sure an honest answer if you really know what inclusive design is as we kick off the presentation shortly. So who knows what inclusive design is? Please, please, please put your vote. 70% of you have already voted, and we've got about 20 seconds. So take your time, no rush. I know it's Saturday morning, so yeah. So 150 of you here right now. Please, please, please put your vote in as we go through. So 75% of you have voted, and I'm just going to end polling now. So to all panelists and to all speakers, as we can see, 49% of you know what inclusive design is, and a whopping 51% of the audience today probably know a little bit, but don't know much. So this is important today to really kind of raise awareness and clear all the misunderstanding about inclusive design, access, and what have you. I don't know, I didn't share it. Here we go. So here you can see the result, right? Yeah. So as you can see the result on your screen now, who knows what inclusive design is? 49% of you say yes, we know what it is, and 51% says no, we don't know. Or maybe you know, but maybe you're not fully aware of it. Okay, so if you've seen the poll, please put your hands up again, just to make sure that you've seen the screen, and fantastic. So thank you very much. So we move on to the next slide, just bear with us. Right, so I want to talk to you about the inclusive design, which is the Commission for Architecture and the Built Environment, which is known as CABE, C-A-B-E. They say inclusive design is about making places everyone can use. Very important. The way places are designed affect our ability to move, see, hear, and communicate effectively. So when we design something, we really need to factor all these requirements. So inclusive design aims to remove the barrier that create undue effort and separation. It enables everyone to participate equally, confidently, and independently in everyday activities. And this is really important, where they say an inclusive environment is created by surveyors, architects, planners, building control surveyors, engineers, access consultants, and facilities management. Ultimately, though, creating an inclusive place is in the hand of developers, landlords, service providers, and client alike. It is their responsibility to ensure that the property is designed, built, and operated with inclusive principle. So this is a very important quote for those of you who want to do some research on that as well. We have the British Standard 8300, Part 1, published in 2018. And what it says there is that an inclusive environment recognize and accommodate differences in the way people use their built environment. It facilitates dignified, equal, and intuitive use by everyone. It does not physically or socially separate, discriminate, or isolate. It readily accommodate and welcome diverse user requirements from childhood to adulthood, through to all age, across all abilities, and embracing every background, gender, sexual orientation, ethnicity, religion or belief, and culture, protected characteristic. It also helps people to live independently and participate fully in all aspects of life. This booklet, the British Standard, if you really want to get into that, is really, really interesting. So just to recap on that, an inclusive environment. Inclusive design places people at the heart of the design process. Inclusive design acknowledges diversity and differences, exactly how we are in Mauritius. Inclusive design acknowledges diversity and differences, same thing. Inclusive design provides for flexibility in use. But more importantly, inclusive design provides buildings and environment that are convenient and really enjoyable for everyone to use and make the best of it. So my message to the built environment professional is that all built environment professionals have a significant role to play in helping to achieve an accessible and inclusive environment. Whether you're an architect, architectural technologist, town planner, landscape architect, civil structural or building services engineer, or a surveyor, or even an ID, interior designer or facilities, we all have a personal obligation to maintain and enhance your knowledge, skill, and competence in your area of practice. Absolutely fundamental, everybody. So built environment professional that contribute to the design, construction, and management of building, places, and space has a huge impact. We do have a lot of impact on the accessibility and inclusivity of our built environment. And that picture shows it all. You know, we are all together. And I think COVID-19 as well has demonstrated that with kindness, with togetherness, we can do a hell of a lot. So some example, really as to as I set the scene in terms of why inclusive design. So we have some barriers in the built environment, as Judy Fleck, OBE from the UK. These are a few examples, so it's not exhaustive. One example is step-free access, design as the secondary route, but not as a desired line. Lift remote from the stairs. Ramp where altered landscape could result in gentle slope or a level approach. Ramps that cut through step, creating uneven rises, which can be hazardous for visually impaired people. Handrail that stop short of the last step. Step nosing on the stairs. You can't really distinguish it from the rest of the tread on the stairs. So you know, like when you go, you have your tread and riser, you can't really, people with visual impairment really can't contrast. Seat without arms or backrest, doors that are too heavy to open to full open width. Manifestation that is indistinguishable from the glazing. Confusing and disorienting layout, which make wayfinding difficult. Poor and inconsistency signage. Lack of tonal contrast to highlight features. One of the examples of the lack of tonal contrast is you go in a disabled toilet or an accessible toilet and the tilings are white. So there's no contrast. So what you do, you put a border rail around it, like a green color or a blue color, just to see like people with visual impairment can see it, They can construct what's what. So these are the things. This is how people abilities are affected by our design. Mobility impairment. You can be on wheelchair. You can have ambulant issues. Dexterity impairment, which again, Abhishek will talk about on that. Visual impairment, which Arti will talk. We also have hearing impairment. So again, if you have issues with your hearing, there's something called induction loop. So again, that's something very important. Wheelchair use, Yasin will be touching on that as well, on the wheelchair use. But also size. We come from different sizes. So, you know, there's tall people, short people. There's different size of people. So again, very important that we embrace inclusive design and diversity. So I want to show you a groundbreaking video in 2012. As they say, it's the best Paralympic. They call it Paralympic. So best Paralympic in the world so far. And it happened in 2012, where I also met Sean and Lena when there was a conference there in 2016. So let me just make sure that my sound are on. Fantastic. And I will watch this video before I present you formally our first presenter. So off we go. If you can hear the sound, please put your hands up as well, please.
The London 2012 Olympic and Paralympic Games were an amazing event that drew the eyes of the world to this spot in East London.
We had three main goals when we set out, when we were working on designing the park. And that was to ensure that it would work for an Olympic Games, that it would work for a Paralympic Games, but we always had an eye to legacy. It was important that local people felt they owned the park, and also that the park could be used by everyone.
The park has many features that, although not immediately obvious, have been very carefully designed and implemented in a way that makes an incredible difference to many people's lives.
The impact has been that for many people using the park, they just find it an easier place to be. It's not obvious to them why it's an easier place to be, but it has been designed to be inclusive, to work for everyone.
The sense of freedom that I get from here, it just makes me able to, you know, just come here and on my own, not have to plan anything, and you know, that gives me the feeling of independence.
I think the most obvious thing is everybody in the country and a huge number of people around the world saw the Olympic Park during the Olympic and Paralympic Games. It shows what can be done, and you've got a really practical example then about the benefits of inclusive design that everyone can come and see, and an ongoing project. That's really what we're trying to do. Get this to be business as usual, so that every building is accessible and every environment is accessible. That's the end goal, and education is how we're going to get there.
Queen Elizabeth Olympic Park will always be associated with the most successful Paralympic Games in history. Changing attitudes towards disability and disabled people is really important, and there's no doubt the success of the Paralympics contributed hugely to this. But education should also bring about a shift in attitudes and ensure that our built environment professionals understand why inclusive design is so important.
And what we're now trying to do in Legacy, in both the Queen Elizabeth Olympic Park and in the surrounding area, is to encourage new ways of thinking about accessibility and inclusion, creating spaces and places that work equally well for all. So, for example, in Hackney Wick, we're trying to apply the same principle, in this case to older and pre-existing buildings such as warehouses, so that everyone can access the same services in the same way equally.
Achieving accessibility and an inclusive design should be an integral part of any design process. It is essential to achieve equality and meet the needs of all end users. However, even today, this is not always delivered. That's why it's crucial that today's educators and professional institutions understand the importance of an inclusive design and ensure that tomorrow's practitioners appreciate and understand the difference an inclusive design can have on people's lives when applied correctly.
Okay, so thank you very much indeed for listening. Again, if you've seen the video, put your please hands up again for just making sure we've got lots of interaction from you. So I'm going to do a quick survey. So our next speaker is Abhishek Fowdur, motivational speaker. He's a regular writer for our local newspaper as well. And he's a BBA, MBA as well. So I'm going to do a quick survey before we start. So here we go. So I'm just gonna make sure we've got the second survey on. And this is really to start gauging, to really engage with you guys who are listening to us today. So just bear with us. Here we go. And I'm just gonna launch the polling now. So the polling is, are you aware of dexterity impairment? Again, please, please, please put your question in, be honest about it. Are you aware of dexterity impairment, which is very important, again, as part of our learning curve today. Are you aware of our dexterity impairment? Again, please, please, please put your question in. Very important for all of us today as we go through this presentation and as we really start deciphering and getting into the presentation today. So I'm gonna, 77% of you have voted, 79% of you have voted. So please, please, please put your vote in. As I stop polling, about 79% of you have voted. So I'm going to share the result with you. And as you can see, 18% of you are aware of dexterity impairment, and a whopping 82% aren't aware, or maybe you do, but not fully aware. So as we set the tone, I'm going to stop sharing now, and then I'm just going to write that down, 82%. Thank you very much indeed. And I'm going to share it as well. So thanks everybody for being that. And then I'm going to introduce the presenter next. So Abhishek, get ready. And if you can put your video on in the meantime as well. So Prakash Fowdur, also known as Abhishek, has over 10 years of experience. He holds a qualification of CompTia A+, Bachelor of Business Administration, BBA, and a Master's in Business Administration, MBA. His experience has been in counseling towards new and existing entrepreneur, lecturing management module, and marketing. He also shared the views and write article published on newspaper based on business and related topics. So please put your hands up, everybody, for Abhishek. So I'm just going to be saying over to Abhishek. And Abhishek, if you can upload your slide, please, as we start with your presentation. So again, please put your hands up for Abhishek time, effort, and for putting this slide for us today. So, and then if you can just go full screen, Abhishek, and then you can take it away. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
so
we can hear you. Please proceed. Thank you very much indeed.
Hi everybody, and welcome all the participants. I am Abhishek Fowdur. So before I go in the topic of inclusive design, so let me give a brief about how I have been living about as a date. So basically, when we have commercial difficulties, just like education starts at home, support also comes at home. And just like at school, we learn ABC, we have ABC, and my ABC was acceptable but capable. So this is where life has started, because we need to accept what we are. Till we don't accept, we will never be able, be it a normal person or someone who has difficulties, till we don't accept what we are, we cannot go forward. And the next step is the society, where we need to face it off. So my life about my primary education was like, at that time, there was not that real support, or there was not that real structure, but it was kind of like of struggling, and it went well, approximately, because I had to like tailor-made it in my own ways. And after that, I went to my secondary, whereby there was some fatalities like classes were in the ground floor, kind like this, and it went till my HSC. At my university, I had to again abide to what I should. I did my BBA, and after that, job was the next biggest issue, because again, I will come on that in more details. Position has been a real issue, whatever interviews I have gone, but every phases is like a key to be most strengthful in order to again abide to the society. And after that, I got my first job, second job, and third job, where I am doing now. Currently I am working at Amity, Mauritius, a university that offers degrees, MBAs. And the best part is what I enjoyed there. I got a chance to do my MBA when at that time I was working as MEDA about counseling entrepreneurs. Then I did my MBA, and after that, after I finished my MBA, I got the chance to work at Amity, which I am here since 4 years. So again, people do play a key role about how we need to live a life, even you have a drawback. But it's okay. But there's something that many people doesn't really see. A disability doesn't necessarily means it should be seen. Disability means a part of your body that is not functional. So it can be external, but it can be internal also. So whatever problem we are having is a disability. So it doesn't necessarily mean what is seen is disability. It can also mean what we have internally also. So now let's go about the real topic. And I thank Anil for giving us such platform whereby we can try to bring message about what is inclusive design. So I will talk about hands impairment, means about someone who maybe has one arm or no arms, or if they have both arms, but how they are being able to live. I am someone who does have a special disability about my hand, and I have not really got the chances to be part of inclusive design because, be it or not, Mauritius still have lots to do about inclusive design. It has started, but it should be tailor-made according to what a person has exactly about their impairment. So what is inclusive design and why it matters? So first of all, what is inclusive design? It's a tool, and it is such kind of tool whereby it is designed to make the life easier. It is a tool to make you fit in the world of togetherness. But to what extent such tool is being used? Because we need that to fit the world. We need that to fit the society to live. Not because it is demandable, but life is a material one we are living nowadays. And unfortunately, if we do not have a job, we are not recognized. It's like this, it's a law of life. And why we need it? Because to be equal. Because if someone compared to someone who is normal or someone who has a disability, knowledge is the same. Deliverance of services is the same. So why there should be a differences? Everybody deserves the right to be equal in life, be it in terms of job prospect, be it in terms of knowledge, education. So inclusive design matters because everybody deserves to have equal rights. And yes, we must have a world for everyone, because even person who has a partial disabilities, they are not robots. All of them are human. And a world for everyone makes a better place for everybody. And finally, it's high time to design for special able persons first. And how we are going to do this, I have some proposal that I have brought forward about those persons who has enhanced impairment. Proposal 1. It's about the eye pointer mouse. Like suppose someone that really doesn't have one or two arms. So how do we magnet a keyboard or a mouse when they are using a computer or a laptop? So they can use an eye pointer mouse. It can be a device, a Bluetooth device, a spectacle, or a toolkit attached to the computer or laptop. Then what happens is we will have the eyes, and the pointer will be like this. So the right eye is for the right click, left eye is for the left click or click and drag like this. We click and drag, and blinking of eyes is about selecting. So this is why I thought as a proposal, by using such kind of technology or a hardware to make things better. So even a person that doesn't have a hand, he converted his arm into eyes. This is how things can make by using your eyes as your arms. And furthermore, about a voice command keyboard or a laser laser pointer. So here it is, like I have seen that in Windows, it is there, like you speak and it is recorded as per the command. Or you can use the eyes and swap. If you want to type ABC, you use your eyes, you click and swipe. So this is one of the how we can try to make things better. And finally, it's about a Windows toolkit for special able person. So this is how a software that has, just like we had magnifier in our Windows, so we must have a toolkit based on such kind of operating system that does really make life simpler for those persons who want to use and have to use a computer or a laptop to deliver. And whatever we do, we need technology. So if you have technology, so why don't we use it for a better, in the right way for special able person? Now, my next proposal is very interesting. And I might guess that I may get a gift also after that. So this is here, a prototype of a car, which has a mechanical application in that. So the question is, do we have it in Mauritius? No, it is still awaited. And now we have a question here. Can we drive? If someone has no hands, can he drive? Yes, we can, and we must. So how does that car really function? In fact, this model is in Germany. I had research on that. So you can see that here. Let me put the laser pointer. So here we have that application installed in the car, and that car has the same. They have their wheels, gearing, everything is the same. Just here, it is connected with a joystick. So that car, when you turn left or right, it has a compact design that gives a relaxed steering about the car. And even if you have one hand, you can use it, or it can also be controlled by the application, which can make that car be self-driven. So this is how things is simpler. Life is simpler, because I know lots of person, even as I did, I still managed to travel by bus for going to work. And I do like it because I try to see people, but now we are in winter, so when it's raining, then we love our bed more than traveling by bus. So this is how here a car does make life simpler. But the issue is the business world, the majority wins and the minority lose from a business perspective. And such kind of facilities are yet to come. And we really hope that it should and it must come nowadays to bring such kind of facilities, because everybody needs to have an equal right. Now, I have a question before concluding this webinar. And the question is very interesting, and you might think about it. How are computers helping special able person versus how are companies helping special able person? It's a very long question, and the answer also will leave you stunned because the answer is one word. So here, computers are helping, let's say yes. Okay, but who made computers is human. And who made companies is still human. So here, how are companies helping special able person? Being equal opportunity employer is a very good phrase. It's just like the free magical words like I love you. But it's not the real value. I have been going in interviews before, and my latest breaking record, just like Olympic Games, one of my interview was 2 minutes. Yes, 2 minutes.
Wow.
We cannot really hold breath for 2 minutes, but my interview was 2 minutes. And when I went out, I was smiling. Yeah, oh my God. This is the real joke of life. And I still joke. Whenever there's happy hours, I think about it and I make the joke. And what was the question? Can you do the job? I was seriously. And the next question I was asked, it was, where do you see yourself in the next 5 years or 10 years, something like that? And my answer was, I will try to maintain an interview for 10 minutes. And after what does, thank you very much. And because I love that door to open and close at that day. So it's worked like this. Equal opportunity employer does not really fit, because we have laws about it that say 3%, this 3%, that, but it is a for reality to see, because the real is not this. And the real issue is skills mismatch. I give again myself as an example. My degree is Bachelor of Business Administration. I can count when I did really use my knowledge that I gained, because even here is my 4th job in my 10 years plus of career, and based on contract, of course, and every job has been a new experience. So the best, I just like a lizard. You put a lizard in a brown tree, that lizard will be brown. If you put a lizard in a green tree, that lizard will be green. So this is how I have been living my professional life as I did. Wherever you are putting me, learning, delivering, learning, delivering. And I even got the offer of working in a wood company. That's the issue here. That's the problem. There is a perception that, okay, that person is disabled, so let's give them manual work. No, it's not like this. People do have knowledge. People do have understanding of having the ability to do certain kind of things. But how are companies helping them? Let me give you another example. Does company really think people who are specially able compared to another person that, hey, do we need this guy at work? Hey, do we need his knowledge? Or is that guy satisfied at work? Does that guy is having job satisfaction? Is that guy happy at work? Is that guy can do this for us? But people doesn't really understand that if a company employ a special able person, it's the best branding that this company can make. Forget about the knowledge. That company is raised higher, is looked higher. But unfortunately, special able persons are still victims. And they will be victims because this problem doesn't have any solution. And it will never have any solution, because now I will tell you the answer why. See that question very well. It has so many words. Now I give you the answer. And the answer is perception. Perception is a real problem, and it will be a real problem every time, everywhere, because perception is what people think. Perception is someone who sometimes when normally I wear tie, just like this tie, it is one of my favorite. And just like Anil have put white too. So this tie, when I go to work, you know, there is one event in Wadi we call Chautari. So when we go to Chautari, we put tie. So people, there was time where people were asking me when I recently joined work, hey, where are you going? Oh, I'm going to Chautari. So every day they are seeing me like every day I'm going to Chautari. Means, why, if you're working also, it's like, hey, right, yeah, you're working. Hey, you did a degree. Really? Hey, you did an MBA. Really? So this is how things goes. And even about job also, when I apply also, I don't like I am this, I am that. I apply as a normal person because I think that this is where it should matter. And when I am traveling also, I travel like a normal person. When I'm meeting people also, I meet as a normal person. But even special able person also, we have like, we tend to think what we are thinking, people is thinking the same. That is where we keep expecting, which is wrong. It is the best wrongdoing that is being held. Whatever you're thinking and whatever we are expecting, it is not what we are getting in return. Just like love. When we love someone, does that mean like we love back also? We get that love back. Same stuff is here. And the real strength is be as you are. Don't expect. Whatever is happening tomorrow, there will be another door. Whatever is alive. And I have a scenario.
Abhishek, you've got 2 minutes left.
Yeah, whatever is your time, you will get it before or you will get it after. But it is all about the real time. And finally, I have a code that I have designed for myself. Designing for special able persons means you are giving them an opportunity to serve our country. So this is the message I want to give. Everybody deserves to live. And based on that, thank you for your attention, and I yield over to the host.
Wow. Can we have a big round of applause for this absolutely speech on a Saturday morning, everybody? I think really, really appreciated for that one. Can you please put your hands up? So we're just gonna, if you can stop sharing, and then I'm just gonna, so thank you, Abhishek. There are questions coming in, so I will take that after we will at the end. So Abhishek, thank you very much indeed. And we can't thank you enough for your time. So Yasin, if you can put your video on. And massive thank you to Abhishek for this thought-provoking presentation. I loved it every minute. So all I will say to you, Abhishek, is I love you. And I mean it as well. So next up we have, the next presenter is the one and only Mohammed Yasin Edu, who's you know, our pride, our honor from Mauritius, who met the Queen and the winner, Queen's Young Leader Award. So let me do a quick introduction. So we'll do the quick survey first before we get Yasin over. And Yasin has also presented on my previous Royal Institution of Chartered Surveyors. So let me just give the second question. And Yasin is very attached to that. It's about public transport. So please put your vote in. Do you think public transport is inclusive and accessible? Your honest view, wherever you are, from India, Nigeria, Malaysia, Canada, Australia, do you think public transport is, even in South Africa, do you think public transport is inclusive and accessible? Please. Yasin really is keen on that to improve our public transport. 65% of you have voted. Do you think public transport is inclusive and accessible? Very important for all of us as we get Yasin to really, you know, get to know Yasin as well as his views on inclusive design. So 72% of you have voted, 73% now, and I'm just going to end polling now. So I'm going to share the result. Yasin, can you see the result?
Yes.
So as you can see, a whopping 82%, exactly as dexterity impairment, that 82% says they don't think that we are doing enough for public transport. So I'm just gonna stop sharing and I'm just gonna introduce you now, Yasin. So Mohammed Yasin Edu is a disability rights activist, and where he tirelessly advocates for equal rights of persons with disabilities. He attended regional and international conference on disabilities among the Conference of State Parties at the United Nations in New York. He holds a BSc in Multimedia and Web Technologies from the Université de Mascarene. Mohammed Yasin is the first and only winner of Queen's Young Leader Award on wheelchair, who represented his country, Mauritius, as well as the community of persons with disabilities in 2015 at the Buckingham Palace. He's also the winner of the JCI, which is the Junior Chamber International Mauritius, the Outstanding Young Person in 2015. So please put your hands up for our distinguished guest, Yasin. So I'm just gonna stop sharing. Over to you, Yasin. And then if you can share your screen, please. So take your time, and then, as I said, yeah, share your screen and then go to full screen. Yeah, full screen, and then off we go.
Okay.
Yeah, awesome.
Okay.
Yeah, awesome. Already, and then you can see me as well, Yasin?
Yes, I can see you.
Yeah, fantastic. And just to let you know, Yasin is a diehard fan of Liverpool Football Club. Oh, sorry, Manchester United.
Manchester United, yeah.
Yeah, he's a massive fan, and I think everyone, even, you know, the board of Manchester United know Yasin. So Yasin, take it away. Thank you.
Okay. Good morning, everyone. And I'm very happy to be part of this webinar. I thank Anil for giving me this opportunity to present to you this presentation on my life story and on the issue of persons with disabilities in Mauritius. So as Anil said, this is a picture from Old Trafford, a visit which I made. One of my dreams came true in 2018, watching a match at Old Trafford. So first of all, I will talk to you about my life story as primary education. So I was born with a congenital malformation for which nothing could be done, and I ended up in a wheelchair. I could neither attend pre-primary nor primary school because the headmaster denied my admission, as he had to make some amenities in the school environment, because at that time the discrimination was still present. But fortunately nowadays people have understood better on persons with disabilities that we all have equal rights. So then I had to stay at home with my mom, unable to read or write. But at home, as I was always a curious person, so I would watch television and try to decipher the TV program schedule of NBC after the news until I was able to read and write. And then for my CPA examinations, at the age of 12, after a visit of some members of the community-based rehabilitation CBR unit of the Ministry of Health, I was registered to a specialized school called the Training and Employment of Disabled Persons Board. There, a primary school teacher, Mr. Rishi Bandhu, was appointed to work with the disabled children. During the teaching sessions, he noticed my potential and desire to learn more because I topped in class and was always enthusiastic. He talked to Mr. Ajay Thakur, an educational psychologist, the then manager of TED-PB, about my learning potential and quick progress in class. Both of them decided that they should undertake to help me in my education path. In 2001, I sat for the CP exams and succeeded brilliantly. In 2002, I made my admission to join the Professor Hassan Rafa State Secondary School. Professor Hassan Rafa, who was an eminent Saudi cardiac surgeon operating graciously in Mauritius. As I was always a person who was thirst of knowledge and always wanted to continue my education, so I completed my Cambridge school certificate and highest school certificate level at Professor Hassan Rafa State Secondary School. I must say I received a lot of support from CBR officers, my teachers, my non-teaching staff, my classmates and friends, And one of such a example of help was move from classes to classes on my wheelchair. And also I received a lot of help from my subject teachers. All my classes were being done on ground floor, and there were no ramp. So the rector and the CBO together, they made the necessary arrangement and built ramp for my mobility. And my practical computer classes were done in administration office instead of computer room found in first floor. So this is an example, a picture of the type of ramp that were built especially to facilitate my mobility at the college. Then I completed a BSc honors in multimedia and web technologies at the Université de Mascaret in Beauplan-Pamplemousse's campus. And there also at the university, I received a lot of support from my lecturers, the non-teaching staff, my classmates and friends. And just like in college, one of such a help was move from classes to classes and help from my lecturers to the different modules. My classes were done here also on ground floor. And there, I must say, at Université de Mascaret, there were no ramps, but I advocate towards this ramp. I said to the chancellor that the importance of ramp, and I was very glad that not at my period of learning, but when I left the university, because I said to the chancellor that, okay, sir, but maybe today, with there are no ramps, but these ramps will be really helpful to our future students on a wheelchair, and this is some the help that they have constructed. And today I'm happy that these ramps are really being helpful to students on wheelchair at Université de Mascaret.
Awesome.
These are my affiliations and awards. So I'm the winner of Queen's Young Leaders Award in 2015. I'm the winner of Junior Chamber International Mauritius, the Outstanding Young Person in 2015. I'm an Associate Fellow for the Royal Commonwealth Society. I was a leader member of Leonard Cheshire Disabti Young Voices of Mauritius. I was a Global Youth Ambassador on Education for a While at School, member of Global Partnership on Children with Disability, which is the disability section of UNICEF in New York, shortlisted one of the 20 World Youth Inspirational Persons for the UN Youth Courage Award. I am a board member of the National Council for the Rehabilitation of Disabled Persons of the Ministry of Social Security, National Solidarity and Reforms Institutions. I am a Goodwill Ambassador for Global Rainbow Foundation, one of the leading NGOs working tirelessly for persons with disabilities, providing all the supports in terms of logistics and materials. I was an advisor on disability for the Office of Inclusion and Engagement of the Commonwealth Youth Council. So this is a picture of myself when I received my Queen's Young Leaders Award from Her Majesty the Queen Elizabeth II at Buckingham Palace.
And Yasin, I think everybody, can you put your hands up, please, for this picture? If I can have, if you can all put your hands up, please, for Yasin on this incredible picture with the Queen there. So please, please, please put your hands up for this. And Yasin, we are so proud of you. So thank you very much indeed for that. Yes, please proceed, Yasin.
Thank you very much. So this picture, this recognition, I must say, as a disability activist, which has really helped me to receive this award. This is a picture with one of my favorite football player, David Beckham at the Buckingham Palace. As Anil said earlier, I'm a die-hard fan of Manchester United. This is an autograph of David Beckham. We had visits to several places, and one of such iconic places was beside Buckingham Palace was also at the 10 Downing Street. We had a breakfast with the then Prime Minister, Mr. David Cameron. And this is a picture with one of my favorite BBC World News presenter, Yalda Hakim, which was always my dream to meet her. And so I met her at this one of these visits. This is a picture of the DCI, the Outstanding Young Person I received in 2015. So then now I'll talk about what is inclusive design. So inclusive design is a design of an environment so that it can be accessed and used by as many people as possible, regardless of age, gender, and disability. An environment that is designed inclusively is not just relevant to buildings, it also applies to surrounding open spaces, wherever people go about everyday activities. This includes shops, offices, hospitals, leisure facilities, parks, and streets. Inclusive design keeps the diversity and uniqueness of each individual in mind. To do this, built environment professionals should involve potential users at all stages of the design process, from the design brief and detailed design through to construction and completion. Where possible, it is important to involve disabled people in the design process. I must say it is very, very important to involve disabled people in the design process. Why inclusive design is important? Designers and developers believe that building products and services with accessibility in mind is for the minority. We must ensure to dismiss that thought and educate on how accessibility can benefit all and in turn make online more inclusive. Accessibility means enablement for us all. What is accessibility? Accessibility refers to the design of products and environments for people with disabilities. Examples include wheelchairs, entryway ramps, hearing aids, and braille signs. In the IT world, accessibility often describes hardware and software designed to help those who experience disabilities. What are accessibility features? Accessibility features are designed to help people with disabilities use technology more easily. For example, a text-to-speech feature may read text out loud for people with limited vision, while a speech recognition feature allows users with limited mobility to control the computer with their voice. As you know, Mauritius is one of the signatory countries of the UNCRPD, which is a United Nations Convention on the Rights of Persons with Disabilities. But unfortunately, Mauritius has put 3 reservations, and reservations 2 specifically talk about accessibility, which says for accessibility, they say the Republic of Mauritius declares that it shall not for the time being take any of the measures provided for in Article 9.2D and E in view of their heavy financial implications. Accessibility for all persons with disabilities is a prerequisite for their inclusion. Without making provision for accessibility, realization of a number of articles in the Convention, including living independently, education, employment, sports and culture, personal mobility, access to justice, etc., is not possible. Accessibility is one of the cross-cutting articles and is also one of the general principles. Hence, a reservation on any aspect of accessibility will affect most of other articles. Now I'm going to talk to you about the accessibility issues in Mauritius. Like we have seen in the poll, you are right. I give you the answer that our public transport indeed is not accessible. So the most common issue with accessibility in Mauritius is a public transport system. It is appalling that in 2020, we do not have an accessible transport system for persons with disabilities in our country. As an immediate impact, persons with disabilities are not able to live an independent life. They are not able to secure a job despite public transport is free for persons with disabilities, but inaccessible, especially to physically disabled persons. However, when we discuss on accessibility issue, they are physically disabled who are the most disadvantaged at. I am one such example. Despite having a degree in IT, I have not been able to secure a job. It is the same case with my other friends on wheelchair. The other barrier is ramp facility in buildings. While new ones, most of them do have a ramp facility, older buildings still lack this facility. Only persons with physical disabilities using wheelchair know the importance of ramps. It is sad to know that despite having Metro or Tram Express, though it is said to be accessible, but the feeder buses will not be accessible to wheelchair. In other words, If I want to use metro, I will have to hire a taxi to the metro station. Finally, my message to the world and being a role model for persons with disabilities, I would like to tell everyone, but particularly my friends with disabilities, do not be discouraged with whatever difficult situation they encounter in their personal and professional lives. Problems are here to make us stronger and build our personality. Strive hard and make the best in our studies and work. It is through perseverance, hard work, and dedication that we bear the fruits of success. Enjoy each and every moment of your lives. Life is beautiful and worth living. And I thank you for your attention. And as you can see, you can connect with me on Facebook. I'm on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and LinkedIn. I'm almost everywhere except on TikTok. So thank you for attending my presentation, and thank you very much.
Wow, excellent. Wow. So incredible presentation from Yasin there. So can we all put your hands up again for Yasin? Yasin, I can't thank you enough. You're a role model, your inspiration, just like Abhishek. You two are incredible role model for our country. So thank you very much indeed, Yasin. So just bear with me. I'm just going to share my slide. And you can see my slide, Yasin?
Yes.
Okay, fantastic. So thank you very much indeed, Yasin. I can't thank you enough for doing what you've just done today. So thank you, Yasin. You can now switch off your video, and I'm just gonna we'll get you on the Q&A session shortly. So I'm gonna get Arti. So I'm gonna ask Arti to put the video on. So let me just ask to start video. So Arti, when you're ready. Yeah, Arti is fantastic. So can you everybody see Arti? If you can put your hands up, please. If you can see Arti, fantastic. So yeah, fantastic. Arti, I'm gonna unmute you, not to worry. And I'm just gonna present.
The Royal National.
Can you hear me, Arti? We need to unmute you. Unmute yourself. We can't hear you. So see if you can unmute yourself. Thank you, Arti.
Yes.
Yeah, fantastic. We can hear you now. So as you know,
Okay,
Arti, she's visually impaired, and but I've got all inspiration for Arti because she knows how to use the technology, and she's amazing. So already Arti is live with us. So please put your hands up. So before I introduce Arti, I wanted to share a video with you on the RIBA, or RNIB, which is the Royal National Institute of Blind. Okay, so Royal National Institute of Blind people, and just make sure the video is on as well. And if you can hear the video, please put your hands up as well. Okay, so here we go.
The Royal National Institute of Blind People is the largest sight loss charity in the UK. At RNIB, we see differently. Every 6 minutes, someone in the UK begins to lose their sight. Today, there are an estimated 2 million people in the UK with sight loss. But we recognise everyone with sight loss as individuals with different experiences and needs. So our services reflect that, covering everything from practical and emotional support to campaigning for societal change, as well as offering reading services and selling products for independence in our own online shop. Over the last 150 years, we have worked to empower the people we support, embracing their experiences with positivity. We are straight-talking, honest, and committed to being accessible for everyone. We stand against exclusion, inequality, and isolation, and aim to build a world where society values blind and partially sighted people, not for the disabilities they've overcome, but for the people they are.
I'm Scott, and I'm a camera operator. I'm a press officer.
I'm the Chief Operations Officer for Lighthouse London.
And I made this film. See what we can do.
Seeing differently means seeing the person, not the sight loss. It's about breaking down barriers to create a fair and equal society, where blind and partially sighted people can live the life they choose. We believe that everyone, no matter how they see, should be recognised for the person they are. RNIB is determined to continue to grow and evolve as we continue to create a world where there are no barriers to people with sight loss. We want everyone to see differently. RNIB, see differently.
Okay, so thank you, Arti. Did you hear that?
Yes, I did.
Fantastic, fantastic. It's an honor and privilege to have you. So I'm going to introduce you now, Arti. So as you can see, Arti is there on the picture, looking awesome, looking beautiful as always. So I'm going to do a quick survey before we introduce Arti. So the survey will be on lifts. So this is the survey for you. You can see the survey now. Do you know that lifts in building can be fully inclusive and accessible? Yes or no? So do you know that lifts in building can be fully inclusive and accessible? So please, please, please put your polls in. Are you aware that lifts in building can be accessible? Because most of the time you go in lifts and you will touch the touch button, but it's not braille. So the people with visual impairment won't know, you know? So do you know if lifts in building can be fully inclusive and accessible? Very important to our colleagues who are visually impaired. So please, please, please put your vote in. 70% of you have voted right now, 71% now. So do you know that lift in building can be fully inclusive and accessible? So 72% of you, we've got 3 seconds left, and I'm just gonna end polling now. So I'm gonna share the result with you now. And the result goes as, do you know that lift in building can be fully inclusive and accessible? 74% says yes, they know, but still a 26% of you do not know or may know that, you know, lift can be accessible. So I'm going to stop result and I'm going to now introduce Arti formally. So just bear with us as I introduce Arti. So everybody, can you please put your hands up again for Arti? Arti Bertoni, she's a disability rights activist, a Bachelor of Law honors with honors from the University of Mauritius. She's got a Master's in Business Administration on Innovation and Leadership at the University of Mauritius as well. She's a researcher, a project manager, doing freelance work. She's a Mandela Washington Fellow in 2014 and a member of African Good Governance Youth Conference Advisory Board. So please join me to join Arti. So Arti, I've got a slide on my side and then the video on the side as well. So all good to go for you. And yeah, so Arti, take it away, please. All yours.
Okay, so thank you, Anil, for welcoming me. Good morning, everyone. I'm so glad to be finally there with you this morning for this presentation. So let's quickly look at what I will deliver in my talk this morning. Of course, as my friends earlier have focused on universal design, I will focus on same. Then why inclusive design matters, especially for persons with disabilities, why accessibility is a paramount to change, and finally, I will end on a personal note with a personal message to you. So first of all, let me introduce myself. So as Anil has pointed out on my educational path, yes, I completed my studies at University of Mauritius. But before that, before I ended being, actually you can all see me. And this morning I can't see you for the very reason that I am a blind person. However, I was not born blind. I was born with the glaucoma disease, which caused me to lose my sight when I was 14. I could see the world. I could go to school. I was reading. I'm sorry, I can see that there are some messages. So
Yeah,
it's my screen reader on the phone reading. So
just do the presentation and then we'll read. We'll take questions and answers.
Okay, so let me go back again. Yes, so when I was 14, I lost my sight. It wasn't expected. It wasn't announced by the doctors. My regular visits to the doctors was about how my eyesight could be improved, for I could see only with one eye. Then it came in January 2001 with some visual loss progress, when we last went at the doctor. And then the doctor finally had no choice than to announce to my father and myself that I was losing sight and that there was nothing could be done on the medical side to reverse what had already started. The processes were there. And at that time, I remember that I had only 17% vision left. And the doctors told me that this 17% could stay for lifetime, or I could lose it in 1 day, 2 days, 1 year, or in a couple of months. So it was in April 2001, in 3 months' time, that I lost sight completely. And at that time, the focus of my parents, especially of my father, was how I would go about with my education. For education is everything in life, according to him. And it made no sense to me at that time. Imagine that you lost your sight, one of the most important sense a human being can have. You can't see the world, you can't see anything, and then your father comes to you speaking about going back to school. And when I was taken to the school for the blind, Les Sages Trust Fund, for the first time, they gave me a Braille book. I was, laying my hands, and I could feel those small dots, erased dots under my fingers, and I said to myself, oh my God, I can't even read one word, not even one letter. How can they imagine that I'll be able to read one whole book in Braille, English or French? And then I met visually impaired persons for the first time in my life. I was myself someone with a visual impairment since I could see only with one eye, but I actually never met them. And then ironically enough, my parents live at Bobassa in the same street where we have the school for the blind. And throughout my whole childhood, I actually could see people, persons with visual impairment, blind people walking with their white cane, going on their own, walking alone in the streets, attending the school. And whenever I was passing in front of the school in the morning and in the afternoon, when I was still a young kid, and I was asking my parents, what do blind people come here for? And the answer they gave me was, they come here for handicraft. And ironically enough, I never knew that one day I will end up myself walking with a white cane, holding a white cane in my hand for the first time, where it's like, the whole universe was with me. And finally, my parents registered me to the Braille course in 2001. And in 2001, it was, I really enjoyed, on one hand, I was losing sight. And on the other hand, I discovered that I still could do something with my life. At school, I was learning Braille, and it was going on well with the course. I was adapting to learning Braille wonderfully good. And on this part, I was really grateful for, I discovered that I could still read, I could still read a book. And after my Braille course was over, I could read and write English Braille grade 2 and French Braille grade 2. And the following year, January 2002, I was back to school. That was kind of difficult for me because, especially for the first 2 weeks when I was in Form 4, I was the only blind student in the whole school. And especially in class, when I was writing with my, on my Braille machine, a manual machine, mechanical one, which makes a lot of noise, I was asking myself, oh, what am I doing there in that class? All the sighted students, they're writing with their pen, they're reading with in their book. I don't have my book in Braille yet. I'm typing on this noisy machine, making lots of noise. What am I doing there? But then my father told me, no, you have to stay to school. I won't let you drop. And 2 years after, when I had my SC results, I was so grateful for, I had 16 units and I had distinction in 2 subjects. So I was grateful to my father that, oh, I can do it actually. Yeah, I sat for my XC exams. So now why not go for my HSC? So I did my HSC, and I was first. I was for the national ranking. I was ranked first for law as main subject, and I was ranked second for history for subsidiary subject. So then I said, why not go at university? And I wanted to go for LLB course. Why? Because I wanted to be aware of what are my rights, my fundamental rights and freedom as a person with disability in Mauritius, as a Mauritian citizen. And fair enough, my application was turned off by the University of Mauritius in 2006. Yeah, the undergrad of my disability. They said to me, you go for any course, you go for BA English, BA French, history, whatever you want to do, but not the LLB. I said, no, either LLB or nothing. So with some intervention, political intervention at that time, I was secured a seat at the LLB.
Yeah.
But believe it or not, my task wasn't easy at all because Anil, I think you are aware of that project whereby we were working for an accessible study room on the ground floor at the library of UM.
Yeah.
That didn't exist at that time. We had to climb the stairs to go on first floor. And then no books were in Braille, no digital book. Everything was printed and there were no reading machine. So I had to rely on my friends' goodwill of them. It was very kind of them to tell me what books I should go and take and make the photocopies and then for them to be converted in Braille. And that was a 3-year process of learning. And then after my LLB, I had that surgery in South Africa whereby my eyes have been removed and replaced by artificial ones. What you can see right now, I'm not having my natural eyes. I'm having eyes prosthesis. I love them for whenever I go everywhere. People don't even know that I'm blind. And
Absolutely.
when they ask me, oh, are they natural eyes? I say, yes, they are natural, but prosthetic.
Wow.
So that was something I had to really go forward with. For I know that I will never recover my sight again, so it wasn't much a big deal to, you know, just to accept the fact that either I would stay with my natural eyes. For one thing for sure is that when you're a glaucoma patient, the worst thing is not only to lose your sight. You lose your sight, yes, but you stay with the disease effect. You live with this atrocious pain and headache. And then it came to a point whereby my eyes started to grow bigger. It's what we call glaucoma children disease. And then we suffer from this symptom of ox eyes. Ox eye because your eye actually grew bigger, so big that it took like half part on my cheeks.
Sure.
And yeah, so finally I ended up taking up this good decision. I don't regret on it now, having removed my eyes 10 years ago and having prosthetic eyes now. Really, it improved my health. So now I'm no more a glaucoma patient and no more have to go to doctors, eye drops. It's all over, it's all behind me, and I'm so happy, so grateful for that.
Absolutely.
And,
amazing news, Arti.
Yeah, so then job again, like Yassine and Abhishek, my friends, accessing to job as a person with disability is truly not an easy task in Mauritius, but fortunately I had my first job in 2012 as a project coordinator at the School for the Blind. Then in 2013 I could access to the Service to Mauritius program, whereby I was posted at the Supreme Court as legal research officer. Then 2014 at the Office of the Director of Public Prosecution as legal research officer. And during my free time, I would spend my time, you know, advocating for persons with disabilities. That's how I joined several organizations. Like I was secretary of Women with Disabilities Forum. I'm a former member of the TEDPP, Training and Employment of Disabled Persons Board, former president of DIMOA, a local NGO fighting for human rights in Mauritius. Then up to now, for the past 5 years, I've been serving as chairperson for CIDEM, a charitable organization with offering specialized education services to children with intellectual and physical disabilities. And I'm also serving as a member of the advisory committee of AYGC, African Youth Good Governance Convergence. And in 2016, I decided to make a move. What if I would spend, you know, I'm spending my free time advocating for the rights of persons with disabilities, but why not joining an organization actually working on the field for persons with disabilities welfare? And that's how I ended up at the Global Rainbow Foundation as researcher and project manager. In the meantime, I got scholarship for my MBA on innovation and leadership. And now I'm offering my services as a freelancer, researcher, and project manager.
Wow.
So what is universal design? You've heard some interesting definition on universal design by my friend Anil himself in his introductory speech, Yassine and Abhishek. And I would like to share with you the definition of universal design, which is simple to understand by the Center of Excellence on Universal Design. So universal design is the design and composition of an environment, building, product, service, so that it can be accessed, understood, and used to the greatest extent possible by people regardless of their age, size, ability, or disability. And in the world of disability rights, universal design was made official in the United Nations Convention on the Rights of Persons with Disabilities, which was adopted by the UN in December 2006. Yeah. And when you go about the definition of universal design, you would see that the concept of reasonable accommodation is strictly attached to universal design. What is reasonable accommodation? When you think of reasonable accommodation, most of the time you would think of a ramp, handrail, lift, and so on. Yeah. But is a ramp enough? Sometimes in Mauritius, my friends on wheelchair would tell me, you know, there's a ramp in that building, which is supposed to allow me physical access to the building. But then the ramp is designed and has been constructed in such a way that I can move only to half of it. And half for the remaining halfway on the ramp, I need somebody to push my wheelchair. Why is it so? Reasonable accommodation is very technical. And when you go about the lift, Anil has earlier put the question to you, what about accessible lift? My nightmare is to be left alone in lift in Mauritius. Why? Because we don't know where we are going when we don't see. First of all, we can't press on the buttons on our own. For most of the time, there won't be braille dots, and there is no speech output. I love being in the lift only when I am in Cyber City in Ben Tower 1 and in Ben Tower 2. Why? Because alongside the braille dots, you also have the speech output, which tells you where we are going, where we have reached. Imagine that there would be braille dots, but no speech output. This happened to me once. There were, fortunately, there was someone with me, so I could hold on to that such a person asking where were we. I pressed on the 6th floor on the braille button, and then the lift opened on floor 4. And I was about to go out of the lift. And then that person told me, no, you are not yet on 6th floor, it's 4th floor. But if there would have been spoken output, I would have known. I would have received spoken output indication that yes, it was not yet 6th floor, but we were on the 4th floor. So just to tell you how it can be a nightmare to be left alone, you know, in a lift in Mauritius.
Absolutely.
So why does inclusive design matter? My friends have gone about attitudinal barriers, the barrier of attitude, the mindset of people. Imagine that once I was offered, I was not offered a job, but I had to go for an interview. And then I received a phone call. Oh, listen, we'll do your interview by phone. I said, why? You don't want to receive me in person on the interview? They said, no, there are lots of stairs in our building. We can't accommodate you for the interview. And then once I was about to go for a ceremony, an award ceremony, and then they told me, you know, there's no lift. How would you move? I said, I can still go up the stairs. So when the lift is there, fully accessible, when you have a fully accessible ramp, when the building is built in with inclusive design feature, this helps us not to be excluded. This helps to remove what is known as attitudinal barriers. That's why inclusive design matters. And that's why from the very beginning, from the very start, when you start designing a building, when you start the design of a product, think of the special needs of everyone, and especially of the special needs of persons with disabilities. You know, one of the UN report has demonstrated that as people are growing older, we are all growing, and we will become older. Like in 40 years time, Anil won't be so young, but he'll be young in his spirit, I'm sure.
I'll be young at heart.
Yes, of course. So 46% of us, when we'll be becoming older, we are going to become elderly people with disabilities. So imagine, and this percentage will rate up, of course. It would not lower down, but it will increase. So what will happen in this world if there is no inclusive design? So this is what I wanted to share with you on the importance of inclusive design. Now we come to my favorite part on accessibility. Why does accessibility matter? This morning, most of you are following us on a PC or on a smartphone. Imagine that 20 years ago, when we had those big mobile phones, which were known as boss avant.
Correct.
They had all those big buttons. So people were thinking, okay, a blind person cannot read on the screen. There was no screen reader. So still they can feel the touch, they can feel the button, and we can use it. That was actually the case. And then with the introduction of smartphones, touch screen as we call them, what would have become of us without the accessibility feature? So I invite you to take your phone, even Anil, you can do it, either iPhone or Android phone. Anyway, take your phone, go to settings, go to accessibility, and then you would see screen reader, visual impairment, hearing impairment, dexterity impairment, all the features are there.
Arti, let me stop you there.
Yes.
So what you just said, I've got my phone. So everybody, if you have your phone, go to setting, right?
Accessibility.
Yeah, I can see accessibility, and then you've got audio description also there, yeah?
Yeah. So there is screen reader, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, I can
you see screen reader. On an Android phone, it would be either voice assistant or talkback. On the iPhone, it would be voiceover.
Yes, I've got voice control.
Yeah, so if you activate this, your phone will begin talking to you.
Awesome. Yeah, I've got it. So thank you for sharing that with everybody. So as Arti just mentioned, so you go to accessibility under setting, where you go to setting apps, and then you go to accessibility. There you can get your phone to speak to you, correct?
Yeah, good. And then you have other
Thank you for sharing, Arti. Thank you for sharing that.
You have other options like for persons who are one-handed, like dexterity impairment, on which my friend Abhishek has been elaborating a bit earlier. And then for persons with hearing impairment, they don't hear the phone ringing, but they can see a light when they would activate this option. So they see the paramount change brought by accessibility. So you see accessibility is the materialization of inclusive design. And on this note, I would leave you with this saying. John Lennon has been singing "I Have a Dream." I don't think I have a dream. I want to make the dream come true. You can make our dream come true of an inclusive society, inclusive world, inclusive Mauritius. Just contribute to it. And that's all.
Wow.
Thank you for your attention.
Wow. Please put your hands up for the one and only Arti for this amazing speech on this Saturday. I think it's inspiring, Arti. Look, I can't thank you enough for your time, effort, and I'm sure you're going to touch and move a lot of people who are listening right now.
Oh, one thing before I end. This morning, I suppose that there was no slides for me on the screen for our friends participating, and it was done on purpose just to allow them experience being in my shoes, in the shoes of blind people, just for the moment of my presentation.
Yes, absolutely. So thank you very much indeed. And also, like obviously Arti can't see, so that's why I was saying absolutely. So that Arti can, you know that I'm actually listening and I'm actually responding as well. But Arti, what you've done today is truly groundbreaking. And you know what you've mentioned there with technology, with iPhone, with Android, with all the smart tablet, your life has changed completely, right, Arti?
Yes.
Yeah, and as you can see, we are seeing you live right now. We've got 150 construction colleague and colleague from everywhere around the world watching you as well. So thank you very much indeed. We will catch up with you in about 20 minutes as we move on to Sean and Lena. So just stay where you are. I'm just gonna mute you, and I'll have Sean and Lena now. So, and I'm just gonna stop your video as well, Arti. I will see you in a bit. So everybody, can you see Sean and Lena from UK? If you can put your hands, please. Thank you very much indeed. We've got about 40 minutes to go with Sean and everybody, and then we'll take some answers. So, right, so let me just introduce you to our next presenter. And let's do a quick survey first. So I'm going to do a quick survey, if you can just bear with us, really before we bring on Sean and Lena from BBC as well. So, right, so the next question is, right, this is new to me as well. And Lena and Sean, you can see the survey now. And everybody, have you heard of neurodiversity? Be honest, be truthful to yourself. I forgot about it since I met Sean and Lena in 2017. It's been a long time ago. And please, please, please put your vote in. 60% of you have voted. Are you aware or you heard of neurodiversity before? Again, this is a groundbreaking talk today to the Southern Hemisphere by colleagues from the Northern Hemisphere, live. And I'm just going to end polling now, and I'm going to share the result with Sean and Lena. So Sean and Lena, 95% says no, they're not aware of what you guys do in the UK, and 5% says yes. So look, this is the opportunity now to really, educate us and educate the world right now what is it all about. So I'm going to introduce, Sean, would you do the presentation first, right?
What we're going to do, I'm going to do a brief introduction, and then I'm going to hand over to Lena, who's going to do the bulk of the work today, this morning.
Okay, fantastic. So I'm going to introduce Sean first, and I can't thank Sean because he's and Lena and him have woke up since 6:30 in the morning, and they are listening to us. So I can't thank you enough. Wholehearted gratitude and heartfelt thank you. So Sean Gilroy, UX Principal Cognitive Design, BBC UX and D, and BBC Neurodiversity Lead. Sean co-created BBC Cape, which is creating a positive environment, the BBC award-winning Neurodiversity Initiative, which advocate neurodiversity and designing innovative solutions to remove barriers to employment for neurodivergent people. As Cape grew, Sean then created and now lead the cognitive design function as part of the BBC's UX and D department, which aims to evangelize, shape and deliver the concept of cognitive design and recognizing the value of neurodiversity to deliver evolve inclusive processes and solutions. Sean's passion for inclusion originated in his previous career as a chartered management accountant, during which he worked across many different industry sectors and included the role of finance director of British Broadcasting Corporation, BBC North. So I'm gonna, and also let me introduce Lena as well, because they will do a co-presentation. And Lena, as you can see here, so Lena Haig is a senior UX designer at the BBC UXD and also co-founder BBC Cape, which advocate innovative design solutions that understand, appreciate, and accommodate our neurodiversity. Lena also happened to be the neurodivergent and is passionate about inclusion, raising awareness for neurodiversity, and promoting different thinking style. She has developed diversity training workshop, produced creative short film, including a 360 virtual reality film. I saw that yesterday, Lena, really, really good. And she has written various blogs for different online publications. Her goal is to remove barriers and inspire the young, talented creative of tomorrow so that they can fulfill their aspiration regardless of disability or impairment. So I'm just going to share a poll before I introduce Lena as well. And the next one is about, so launch the poll. And the poll is, please, please, please put your vote in. Do you know what is neurodivergent is? If you know, please, please, please put them in. If you don't know, be honest and truthful. Do you know what a neurodivergent is? Please put your vote in. Be good to know and really raise awareness on neurodiversity as well as neurodivergent. So here we go. And I'm going to end polling and share the result with everybody. So once again, a whopping, as you can see, whopping 95% doesn't know what Lena and Sean does, and a 5% no. So I'm just going to stop result and now welcome. I'm going to stop my screen. So Lena, you can now share your screen however you want to proceed. You've got about 20 minutes to take over, and then we'll get some question and answers with all the speakers. Off you go.
Thanks, Anil. I'm just going to share my screen because I have some slides.
Yeah, no problem. And in the meantime, everybody, can you put your hands up, please, for the two speakers from the UK right now, and for really showing us the groundbreaking cognitive neurodiversity. Thank you.
I'll briefly introduce, thank you, Anil, for inviting us today to talk to everybody. It's a real privilege. It's a bit of an early start, but it's so worth it to be able to share what we do. And thanks to all the other panelists so far this morning. It's been really insightful to hear some really interesting stories from everybody. In terms of what we do, I think you've covered most of it at the beginning. So I'm Sean Gilroy, and one half of the Neurodiversity Initiative at the BBC. So BBC CAPE stands for Creating a Positive Environment. Which we started, myself and Lena, about 4 years ago at the BBC. And to be honest, it was promoting a conversation around neurodiversity and neurodivergency, which we'll get into in the presentation. But it was something that a lot of the people in our organization didn't understand or hadn't heard of either. So it's been a long journey that we've had, but we are beginning to make some inroads. And we can say over in the UK, especially, the conversation has been, it's hugely grown in the last 12 to 18 months. So I think it's something that you'll begin to hear more and more about. And if we move over on to the next slide, I think at that point, I'll hand over to Lena, and Lena will run the majority of the presentation from now on.
Thank you, Sean. Thank you very much.
Thank you. So I'm just going to start with a disclaimer. So hi everyone, I'm Lena. Disclaimer is basically I have autistic spectrum condition, and in this presentation I'm relying on images to help me communicate and express myself. So there may be some unusual images in the presentation because what it is, I think in pictures. I process, pictures is my first language. So as I'm speaking to you, I'm translating the images in my head and trying to translate into words. So I rely on pictures as an accessibility tool to help me convey a message or what I want to say or my thoughts. Same way as someone who, say, is blind utilizes Braille or other technologies, or someone who is deaf relies on sign language. I rely on pictures to communicate. So my disclaimer is basically expect the good, the bad, and the ugly in this presentation. So apologies in advance, but I will do my best to explain the images, but they're purely there for my benefit to help explain what we're talking about today. So we're here to talk about a little bit about neurodiversity. Neurodiversity is a relatively new term that's, you know, it's only come into force in the last few years. So it's basically trying to explain the science behind having a differently wired brain. And it's neurodiversity is basically like a viewpoint that the brain differences are normal rather than deficits. And neurodiversity is an umbrella term that covers different conditions such as autistic spectrum condition, or autism, dyslexia, ADHD, Tourette's, dyspraxia, to name a few. The spectrum is vast, and it's basically saying a lot of hidden neurological conditions come under this term. So that's what neurodiversity is an umbrella term for all of these conditions, and the list is vast. And anyone who identifies under the umbrella term of neurodiversity is basically classes themselves as neurodivergent, as I do. And a lot of the time, it's in the past there were negative connotations. There's a stigma attached to having a neurodiverse condition, but what we're trying to do is highlight the positives, the idea that neurodiversity can have benefits with anyone with a learning or thinking difference. And this concept has helped reduce stigma around learning and thinking differences. And that's down to the fact that a lot of people with these types of conditions, whether it's autism, dyslexia, dyspraxia, tend to be either very, very creative, strong in creative skills, or they have strong logical and analytical skills. So that's pretty much the sort of benefits around being neurodivergent. it's an important statistic. 1 in 7 people are considered to be neurodivergent, but fewer than 50% know it. I don't know how far this statistic goes worldwide, but a lot of people are impacted by neurodivergent conditions. So I'm going to start with a bit of an origin story, you know, and it has been a journey. So I'm just going to explain. Once upon a time, there was a little girl who we refer to as Elle. She was diagnosed with autistic spectrum condition. And basically at the time, she, you know, from an early age, she struggled with her reading and writing. She struggled to be supposed to be similar in terms of the levels of understanding and coping. She struggled in school, etc. But she had issues in terms of barriers, in terms of communication and learning. So she was quite behind when it came to, you know, in a class with her peers, and she struggled a lot from an early age, and she wasn't able to verbally communicate like her peers were able to do so. So she lived in Planet Neurotypical. So neurotypical is like the opposite of neurodiverse or neurodivergent. It means basically where neurodiversity covers people who have conditions such as autism, ADHD, dyslexia, etc. Neurotypically is describing someone who doesn't have those conditions, and they are classed as neurotypical because that's what's considered to be the norm. Now, Elle lived in Planet Neurotypical, where everybody expected her to be the same as everybody else, to learn the same way, to communicate the same way, and she was expected to conform. And she was considered sort of abnormal for being autistic. She was constantly being chased by villains known as the triad of impairments. The triad of impairments is actually a very real thing. It is the clinical definition of autism. And the triad of impairments says that anyone who is autistic or is in the autism spectrum is impaired in these 3 core areas: social emotional interaction, imagination and flexibility of thought, and social communication and language. So she was constantly being chased by these villains throughout her life. Being autistic, Elle lived in a world of her own. And if you were to ask her now what it's like to be autistic, she'd say it's a bit like Guantanamo Bay meets Alice in Wonderland. So it's an incredibly beautiful world. She lived in a world of her own. Colors were vibrant. And she could see the detailing in the environment around her. Everything was amazing. And she had this sense of wonder in her. But unfortunately, the world around her was, on a sensory level, it was quite amplified and quite painful. So sounds were louder, lights were brighter, colors were brighter. Everything was painful at the same time. But she also saw the beauty around the world around her. And that was one of the positives of being on the autism spectrum. She also had something that's called prosopagnosia. It's a type of face blindness where every face to her looks the same. So she struggles to recognize people like who are friends and family, you know, out of a group of people or in a crowd, because every face is generic. So it can be quite scary and frightening for her. So she feels a lot of anxiety when she's faced a group of people, or if she's at an event, everybody looks the same, and she struggles to recognize familiar faces because all faces look generic. So with all of those things going on, and because it's a hidden condition, people don't understand you because you look on the surface, you look fine, everything's okay, but you're struggling. And as a result, unfortunately, people tend to judge you because they don't have an understanding of a condition like autism or other hidden conditions, because you're reacting to your environment in a way that other people may not do. So there's a lack of understanding, and people can judge you as a result of that for having a hidden condition. So as a result, Elle ended up struggling to navigate Planet Neurotypical. I use the image of Godzilla here because Godzilla, you know, is a pretty famous character. I don't know if you're aware, but I use it as a metaphor to describe what it's like. So Godzilla is severely misunderstood. All he's trying to do is navigate around the world and find somewhere to find a safe space. And instead of, you know, people trying to understand him because he's trying to communicate, they think that he's trying to attack or react to the environment. So as a result, he ends up being attacked. So it kind of highlights a person who has a hidden condition and how they're trying to conform and try to be what is called as neurotypical, or what is termed as normal. But he's just struggling, and all he's trying to do is navigate the world around him, but he's being severely misunderstood. And instead of trying to understand his language, people are kind of attacking him and dodging him.
Absolutely.
So school, as a result, was pretty challenging. Elle struggled in school. She faced a lot of bullying because in the class, she wasn't able to be the same as her peers. She struggled with her learning, she struggled with her reading, and her communication skills were quite limited in comparison to her peers. So as a result, she was bullied heavily because people thought she was stupid. She wasn't achieving like her peers were, and everybody was concerned about her, what was going to happen to this girl, because she's not able to progress as her peers are. So, but unfortunately, because of her struggles, people saw her as, like not very intelligent. So they decided to bully her as a result because she was so different. And because they couldn't understand why she was like that. One of the things is that she had, again, she processed things visually. So when she would sit in a classroom, when the teacher was teaching, as the teacher was teaching, all her classmates would write the words down, but Elle would basically draw what she was interpreting from the teacher. Unfortunately, at the time, she got into a lot of trouble because the teacher assumed that she wasn't paying attention in class, and she was just, misbehaving. So she got into a lot of trouble. And the people thought, why isn't she writing the words like all her classmates are? But what they didn't understand at the time is that she was processing the information visually as the teacher was teaching. She was drawing what she could understand. So she had visual communicate, she was trying to communicate on a visual level. But at the time, people thought she wasn't very intelligent and assumed that she was just misbehaving.
Yeah.
So the teachers told her she's never going to progress, told her parents that she'll never progress, and her parents, they didn't take it very well. They became very upset because any parent would be understandably very upset if a teacher told them that their child will never ever progress, she will struggle in life, she will struggle to get any qualifications, and she will need a lifetime's support. So they didn't take it very well, and it was like the end of the world to them to hear that, because all they wanted was the best for their child. So to be written off at an early age, it was heartbreaking for her parents, and they were angry, upset, all kinds of things. So as a result, they decided to look into treating Elle. So she went through lots of tests and therapy to find out what was wrong. How can we fix this problem? They saw this, the teachers saw Elle as a problem that needed fixing. So they recommended therapy and speech language therapy, and also behavior therapy to try and fix Elle. But the thing is, with a condition like autism, it's a lifelong condition. It's not something it's not a problem that needs fixing, which I'll go into a bit later on. But with all the therapy, and then also at the same time, she was trying to keep up with her schoolwork and her peers. Her brain felt like it was being fried. It was challenging times because the whole world was basically saying there's something wrong with this girl. She needs fixing. So on top of the therapy and on top of the bullying at school, because she was so different and she wasn't able to keep up at school, everything was quite painful, and it was a massive challenge. And there was almost like no hope for the future. That was the message that she was getting from everybody around her, which led to her feeling very isolated and excluded and on her own, because she felt like nobody was understanding her, and she was trying to communicate, but because she was relying on visuals, people couldn't understand her. One day though, she discovered a comic book, and she started to read for the first time unsupported, because the comic book, when she started looking at it, the images in the comic book helped her to understand the words better. So this was a massive discovery point in her life, and this was completely accidental. And then her parents realized that, oh my gosh, she's not, this isn't an intelligence issue, she's just processing information in a different way, she learns in a different way. So thanks to looking at the comic book, she could understand the words, because the images were supporting the words and helping her to read for the first time unsupported without anybody's help. So it was a fantastic discovery. And as a result, the parents realized that her learning needs were just different and she needed to be supported. She needed the right tools to help her. So they decided to look for a school which would support her learning needs.
And Lena, just a quick one, and Sean, I'm getting messages from a participant. This presentation is giving me goosebumps. We are human and so judgmental. And what you just said, so please proceed. And a lot of people are actually being moved by what you're just showing. I'm moved myself.
So, you know, the school that said to her, you're never going to progress. So my parents decided to ignore that advice, you know, and the fact that Elle needed fixing. They looked for a really good inclusive school and who agreed to take her and support her, because they said, yeah, we can support her learning needs. And as a result of all the support she received from this school, they gave her the technology, assistive technology to help her. They understood that she had a visual, you know, she was just reliant on visuals to help understand words. So because of that, she managed to get her qualification. She got her GCSEs, her A-levels, and not only that, she went on to university. She went on to graduate, and she did her undergraduate at the University of Durham. And then she went on to do a postgraduate, a master's at the London School of Economics as a result. So from being told that, you know, that she'll never ever progress in life, she went on to study and go on to university and graduate from two of the best universities in the country, in the UK and in the world. Wow. So to move from that, you know, then the future was kind of hopeful because she thought she'd proven herself, the fact that she'd achieved, and she was now flying in Planet Neurotypical. I use this image of the pterodactyl because I quite like dinosaurs, and this is a quite a image for me as well, because it's meaningful in the sense that when you look at all the dinosaurs, and when it kind of gives a positive message. It's basically like saying, as you know, the pterodactyl, it may not be the strongest, the biggest, or the fiercest of dinosaurs, but it could do one thing that all the other dinosaurs can't do, and that is fly. So that's a message that I tend to give to people, anyone with a condition or a disability. You know, there may be some things that you can't do. There is always going to be something that you can do that others can't. And that's a message of strength and positivity. So that's what I wanted to share. So she was kind of hopeful. So after graduating from university, she had her degrees, she had her masters, and she thought, right, I'm ready to take on the world. I'm ready to fly now. So she started her journey in employment. Unfortunately, she was brought back to square one. What happened was the support that she received in education, unfortunately, didn't transition into employment because, you know, in terms of employers, they're not quite there yet in terms of when it comes to certain educational institutions. So the support that she needed, suddenly when you're you know, when you join the employment journey, they expect you to be neurotypical. They expect you to be like everybody else, but Elle still had the same issues. She still utilized images to communicate. She relied on that, and that was her strength. But now in employment, she was being asked to change that and go back to the beginning again. So job applications were massively challenging. You know, I used the image of Steven Seagal. Now, Steven Seagal's like this action movie star from the 80s. I use this as an analogy because basically he's this actor who creates these films. He produces so many action films, and they're not great. And what happens is they never see the light of day in terms of mainstream cinema. They all wind up straight to, like, you know, DVD or online or something somewhere where nobody can find them. And job applications is a bit like that for me. I did so many after I graduated from university, but it was just a struggle because I'm visual, and the job descriptions were very heavily worded. That, you know, and they weren't very clear, and they kind of highlighted, you know, descriptions would highlight things like you need very good communication skills, or you need to be a good team player, which may not have been relevant to the job, but for someone who is on the autism spectrum like me, it's something that, well, do I really need that? And I would struggle with certain things. So I ended up struggling. Interviews was worse. It was, you know, when you're facing 3 people and they're firing questions at you and you're thinking in pictures and you're not able to perform in an interview because the environment is not accessible, especially for someone on the autism spectrum, because you're trying to understand what the person is saying. So for me, it felt like I was in a Mexican standoff situation in an interview. It was quite scary because you don't know whether you're going to survive it, and people are firing questions at you and they're expecting you to be the best performer. But like I say, I can only be my, you know, at my best if you give me the right tools, and in interviews I'm not able to do that because the right tools aren't there for me. So that's another barrier. So as a result, I faced a lot of rejection, you know, and it was a shame because I felt I had a lot to offer. You know, I was intelligent. I've proved it, you know, by achieving so much in education. But unfortunately, employers couldn't see that because of the barriers that they created with job applications, interviews. They just do not cater to someone who is a visual thinker. So that happened, and I was at the point of giving up hope. I thought, this isn't good for me, and I was thinking about self-employment. If no one's going to employ me, then I'm going to have to go with self-employment or something. But suddenly, you know, I found myself in a strange but cool place known as the BBC. So I joined the BBC on a trainee scheme that was aimed at people with disability and conditions, and they made sure that the scheme and the interview process was much more accessible than the normal interview process would be, if you see what I mean. So so they made sure that, and as a result of that, I was able to get a job at the BBC, you know, and 5 years later, here I am doing this presentation, working for them and trying to spread the message of neurodiversity to prove to people that we can achieve. So I was, you know, I've found this great place, the BBC, who support me in every possible way. I met a real life superhero, Sean, who's with me, who's my line manager, but also he's become, in this journey, he's become like a big brother to me. I wouldn't be able to do half the things that I did.
And also Sean is a great human being, I must say.
He gave me a chance. He interviewed me and he believed in me. He saw something in me. When I was faced with so much rejection, he saw something special in me and he thought, I'm going to give her a chance. And he gave me that chance, and I'll be forever grateful. He's embarrassed by this slide, by the way, because he always is, but I make it a point to thank him or thank the people who give me an opportunity like this. And he's been so good to me and so supportive. And that's another important thing. To have a supportive line manager goes a long way, you know, when you're in employment, to have that understanding, that mentorship, and that comradeship. So together we started a quest, BBC CAPE, the initiative Creating a Positive Environment. It is a bit like a fellowship, and we welcome members. So everyone is welcome to join our fellowship because we're trying to change, you know, the stigma and the negative connotations, remove the stigma and the negative connotations around neurodiversity, and it's all about creating a positive environment and changing the environment and the culture and the understanding behind those kinds of conditions that people think, you know, that it's just negative. And there's a really good quote that I want to share, and I feel it's relevant to neurodiversity. So it's by Albert Einstein, by the way. So he was also known to be neurodivergent. He was known to be autistic and dyslexic. So his quote is, "Everybody is a genius, but if you judge a fish by its ability to climb a tree, it will live its whole life believing that it's stupid." So I felt like very much like that fish being asked to climb a tree. You're not giving me my right environment. You know, I need to be in the ocean, but what's happening is I'm being asked to climb a tree. So that's very much true of anyone with a condition or a disability, that they're being asked to do something when the environment is not right. And I personally don't feel that I am disabled. I feel my environment is disabling. If the environment is right, then I can't be disabled. There's nothing, you know, there isn't anything wrong with me. So we want to address the stigma. We want to change the culture. And that's a big part of the message we wanted, you know, for BBC CAPE. And we're also looking at workplace design, creating the right environment. So there's so many things that we can do to support people, especially who have cognitive accessibility needs, because I think there is a better understanding of physical accessibility needs, but not so much around hidden and cognitive accessibility needs. So a lot of the work that we're doing is around design and how can we improve the environment for people with cognitive needs, whether it's helping them with navigation, signposting things. It's about creating the right environment for them, and so they feel safe and understood. So we've created a workplace checklist. We're doing lots of work around that. We created films where we can show people what the environment is like for someone who has a condition like autism or dyslexia or any other hidden condition. We also want to highlight the importance of inner strength. Now, this is my Arnie triad. It's going off tangent a little bit, and it's a bit of a message that I tend to share with people. It's humorous, but at the same time quite poignant. So, you know, so I tend to refer to the Arnie triad as representative of inner strength, the human strength. So when he started his journey, Arnold Schwarzenegger, and he's this action star that I'm a fan of. Yeah. When he started his journey, his film journey, in his earlier films, he didn't speak much. He literally grunted his way through the films. He was still the hero, okay, but he didn't speak much because his language skills were quite limited. So I can kind of feel a resonance with him, you know, a kind of affinity with him. So his language skills are quite, you know, limited, but he improved as he sort of progressed in time to these other action films, you know, like like Predator, those sorts of films that he's done, and his verbal skills improved. He manages to find a team to support him, and then obviously he becomes like the Terminator, unstoppable, resilient. You know, no matter how many times they kill him off, he keeps coming back. So it's kind of a positive but funny message in the sense that it's inner resilience, inner strength. No matter how many times you go down, you keep coming back up stronger. And that's a positive message that I try and share with people in a humorous way, that, you know, take the positives, don't believe in yourself. Yeah, it's kind of something that I like to share. And also, hopefully, you know, the earlier triad of impairment, which was the clinical definition I shared with you, that's the clinical medical term, the triad of impairment for autism. Hopefully you will prefer my Arnie triad, and I think that will be a better triad for people to take away with them. Absolutely. As an understanding that this is better and more positive. And I just want to end it with a word. Tekiwatanga is the Maori word for autism, and it means in his or her own time and space. It's quite a powerful word, and it means autism in the Maori language, but to interpret it as in his or her own time and space says a lot. If you allow a person, you give them their own time to work at their own pace and time, then it's so positive, and it's inclusive in its own right. If we can take away that message rather than say people are disabled, then all those children, all those young people who are growing up, who are having similar journeys to the ones that I've had, you know, the people who have been written off and been told that they have no future. If we can take this basic concept into our hearts and minds, then no child will ever grow up with an uncertain future the way I did. So that's
wow.
all I want to say. Thank you so much for letting me speak.
Yeah, I mean, look, can we have a big round of applause for Sean and Lena? Rina, I have to say, it's incredible, because when I heard you in July 2016, live at the Global Summit in London, you have transformed completely. I have to say, your presentation skill, everything has changed completely. And it's amazing to see how you've grown from where you are today and educating us in Southern Hemisphere. So please, please, please put your hands up. What I'm going to do now, I'm going to take, we're going to stop sharing, and then we'll do some Q&A. But let me just, if you can, we've got 20 minutes left. So I will, let me just put, I'm just going to need to conclude in 5 minutes and then bring you back on. So then we will finish in about exactly 22 minutes. So I want to share something with everybody before we finish, and then we'll take Q&A. So I'll go 5 minutes to conclude, and then we'll bring everybody back on for a Q&A quickly. So I want to share this with you quickly. You can switch off your video as well, Sean and Lena. Take a breather, and then we will be back on in about 10 minutes. So I wanted to share this with everybody. Please relax. take your time, relax, enjoy this, because not many times we have time to really be part of this global inspiration. So I'm going to share this video with you. My co-host Davsen, let me know if the sound and the music is okay as well, as I share this to you, which is truly amazing. So Mandy Harvey, she lost her hearing for whatever reason, obviously you'll find out. And then she starts singing. So she's singing, but she can't hear herself. So I'm going to share this story with you, and it's been amazing, and she's now a global star. So here we go.
Who's here with you today?
I'm with my dad. Thank you for taking me, like, honestly.
It'll be great.
I can't imagine doing this without you here. I love you, Dad.
Hello.
Hi, how are you?
And what's your name?
Mandy Harvey.
And who's this?
My interpreter.
What's your name?
Sarah.
Nice to meet you, Sarah.
Nice to meet
How are
you,
you?
Sarah.
Hi, Sarah.
Doing well, thank you. Hello.
Okay, Mandy, so I think I've worked this out. So you're deaf?
Yes, I lost all my hearing when I was 18 years old.
Wow. And how old are you now?
29. So it's 10 years.
Wow. And Mandy, how did you lose your hearing, if you don't mind me asking?
I have a connective tissue disorder, so basically I got sick and my nerves deteriorated. Growing up, the only thing I wanted to do was sing. I ended up going to school for vocal music education so that I could have that be my life. When I was in college, I thought I had an ear infection, and it just got worse and worse. And by Christmas, I was borderline legally deaf in both ears. There was one day where the teacher was going to play the piano, and I had to chart out everything that he was playing. And I had my pencil ready, and everybody else's pencils start moving, and I'm just waiting for the test to start. And then one by one, every person just got up and left the room. And I didn't hear enough to even start the test. That was the last day I was a part of music program. It was a bad day.
When we're sitting in the car together to come home, she said, "Dad, I can't remember what your voice sounds like anymore." At that moment, you knew that things would never be the same.
Everything that I had ever wanted was just going away, and I couldn't stop it.
The music is alive inside of her. The only question was, what could she do with it now?
My dad, he suggested that we play a song. I said, well, that's crazy. But I had a guitar tuner, and I hummed my starting note and just went for it. Music now isn't about the sound, it's about the feeling. I'm excited, I'm nervous, I'm scared, so I'm just trying to... It's not the dream that I always had. That's okay, because I showed up, and I did something I never believed I could do.
So you were singing before you lost your hearing?
Yeah, I've been singing since I was 4. So I left music after I lost my hearing, and then figured out how to get back into singing with muscle memory, using visual tuners, and trusting my pitch.
So your shoes are off because you're feeling the vibration. Is that how you're following the music?
Yeah, I'm feeling the tempo, the beat through the floor.
And Mandy, what are you going to sing?
I'm going to sing a song that I wrote called Try.
Okay, can you tell me what it's about?
After I lost my hearing, I gave up. But I want to do more with my life than just give up. So...
Good for you. Okay, well, look, this is your moment, and good luck.
Okay.
parts of you, but I'm tired of getting used to the day. So I will try. So I will try. If I would try. If I would try.
Mandy, I don't think you're going to need a translator for this. That was one of the most amazing things I've ever seen and heard. Come here. Beautiful. Amazing. Congratulations, guys. Honestly, I never think I'm going to be surprised or amazed by people, and then you turn up, and with, I mean, just the fact that you are you, but it was your voice, your tone, the song was beautiful. Congratulations, you were straight through to the live shows. Mandy, you know what? We found each other.
Yes, and you can tell this is a song, and maybe it cries some people when it's done. I hope you don't mind, I hope you don't mind that I put down the words. What just happened? Life is now you're in the world.
Okay, so as you can see, thank you very much indeed. It's been an incredible, and she goes on to say that music now isn't about the sound, it's about the feeling. So it's amazing how, and before I take the question, I want to throw some book with you so you can screenshot it. Are you an inclusive designer? And this is from Julie. Julie Fleck, OBE from the UK. I actually had the opportunity to meet Julie when I met Sean and Lena in 2016. And Julie says the aim of this book is to put forward a powerful case for change in attitude toward inclusivity and accessibility, considering the legal, social, and moral argument for inclusion and the business case. More significantly, we cannot continue to discriminate against disabled and older people. We should accept that the system needs to be changed and that we should all be working hard to amend our behavior and help create an industry that we can be proud of. I want to share this book with you. I wanted to get Claire on as well. She was super busy. I had not cried. So Claire goes on to say, I had not cried at all. I was being brave, although inside I felt very scared. That was in chapter 2 of the book. She was absolutely petrified. My body felt battered. Well, the bit I could not feel. The rest felt dead. 2/3 of me was dead. This is the incredible battle to rebuild a life that was shattered in a split second. When Claire was 27, she suffered devastating spinal injury in a freak accident whilst eventing. In April 2012, Claire made worldwide headline when she walked the London Marathon in a pioneering robotic suit taking 17 days. And then on this book as well, Finding My Feet, is the moving true story of how one determined, courageous young woman had to fight for the darkest days to go and have the best days of her life. Claire has already raised over 300,000 to help find a cure for paralysis, and this book will help provide more vital fund for the Nickel Spinal Injury Foundation. So before I bring everybody in, chapter 7, this is another book, guys, that I would like you to share. And the book is about one of the best things since my accident has been the acquisition of a degree of patience combined with taking time to think on our problem. Henry Fraser, instead of abandoning the idea of drawing and moving on, I might have done in the past, I searched for more apps and found one called Sketch. This is a small statement from the book. So Henry Fraser is a British artist and motivational speaker. Henry was 17 years old when a tragic accident severely crushed his spinal cord. Paralyzed from the shoulder down, he has conquered unimaginable difficulty to embrace the life in his new way of living. And finally, there's no point in dwelling on what might or could have been. The past has happened and cannot be changed. It can only be accepted. Life is much simpler and much happier when you always look at what you can do, not what you can't. Every day is a good day. So that was a book, The Little Big Things by Henry Fraser, which is on Amazon. And he's also got a new book which came out 5 days ago, and it's The Power in You. How to accept your past, live in the present, and shape a positive future. So before we go on, I'm now gonna do the Q&A session quickly. We've got 10 minutes left with the presenter before we conclude. So just bear with me quickly, and I'll just get the Q&A tab on. And here we go. So I'm gonna stop sharing. If everybody can put your video on, can I request if you can, all the panelists can put that. We've got 10 minutes quickly to do the Q&A. As we, I just need to ask Artie to put the video on. So if you can put your video, everybody on, including my co-host Davison, if you can put your video, and as we get Lena and everybody else. So the first question is, there's a question, I'm gonna take common question because we can't take every question. And I'm starting with Yasin. There's lots of questions coming in, but Yasin, we are limited time because we're gonna be ending in 10 minutes. Your final message to the audience, the participant right now, the final message on, can you hear us, Yasin? I think Yasin is frozen for now, but if I move on to Abhishek. Abhishek, your final message in terms of why inclusive design, people are will leave in 10 minutes. What is your message to everybody?
So my message is like, if ever you are found in a situation whereby there is no facilities, then the best point is create your own ways, get the things done, either by the right way or the left way. And finally, it's all about don't stop, please carry forward. Everything has a time, everything has a right time, and keep on trying. Nothing is the end until you decide.
Wow. Thank you very much, Abhishek. And I'll move on to Artie. Sorry, I'll move on to Yasin because Yasin was the second speaker. Yasin, you were frozen earlier. So Yasin, what is your final message? We've got 5 minutes left. What is your final message to the audience?
I wish to thank all the people who have watched our webinar, because it's very important that we raise the issues affecting persons with disabilities. All I wish is that all the construction professionals will learn whatever knowledge that they have learned from all of us, that they are going to implement these lessons and try to advocate as much as possible, whether in private sector or in government, to ensure that all the existing and future buildings and everywhere, wherever is possible, will be inclusive design and with accessibility, whether in Mauritius and everywhere else. That's my message to this.
Thank you, Yasin. Thank you, Abhishek. Both of you are incredible role model for our country. Artie, let me just unmute you. I think we can unmute you now, just making sure you're on mute. Artie, so you know what? I'm getting so many messages that your presentation was inspiring. I know your neighbor's dogs are actually barking there, but quickly,
Yes.
what is the final message to the participant on inclusive design and why we really need to embrace it? Because we all can be visually impaired, we can all be mobility impaired in the future.
Yes, so rightly pointed out, Anil. My final message would be barriers are more emotional than physical. So it all starts from the way you think, the way you see us, your perception. So I make an appeal this morning to you all. Adopt an inclusive approach to persons with disabilities. No rejection, no exclusion, but only think of how you would have been felt in our place.
Yeah, awesome. Thank you very much indeed. Before I move to our UK counterpart, Davison, you've followed the inclusive design. I know you are doing your chartership to become a chartered quantity surveyor. What is your views on what you've seen? Few words to the participant.
So I would like to start by thanking everyone, all the panelists and the participants for being here today. I believe that I am personally moved and motivated more than ever by everyone here today, because we have now proof that there is no existing barriers for anyone who wants to do something, to move forward and to make something out of their lives. You just need the dedication and the motivation. So thank you very much. I'm really, really motivated after today's webinar. Thank you so much for.
Thank you, Davison. We'll move on to Sean before we conclude with Lena, an incredible line manager, an incredible human being. I know Sean, 4 years ago, we had a really good chemistry, and Lena has reconfirmed that today, that these guys are going strength from strength to make the world a better place. So Sean, few words to us from Northern Hemisphere to the Southern Hemisphere. Please, could you just give us some word from you in terms of how to embrace people with different abilities, because different people have different way of doing things?
I would say that, I was new to this after a career in finance before, and I can honestly say that having met Lena and worked with Lena over the past 4 or 5 years, she's kind of really opened my eyes to a new world. And through the work that we do, we're able to go into different communities, to talk to lots of different people. And the best advice that I can give to anybody is listen to people's stories, listen to what they're telling you, and accept that. And you can learn so much and you can build on it. It's made me a better person, a better manager, and it just opens up a whole new world of opportunity and information to you. So yeah, just listen and you will learn a lot.
Wow. Thank you, Sean. Thank you for your time, your effort, and for really giving us a lot of wisdom today. Lena, on your side, please, you're on mute, I believe. So please, your story has moved a lot of people with your PowerPoint, with a little girl growing up in a world of really, strange characters. Please, give us a final thought of wisdom from your side, representing BBC Cape.
Thank you. Thanks again. It's been amazing, and I'm really grateful to be here. How we design a space can have a profound impact on the people who occupy and experience it. I think here we're trying to highlight the fact that people with hidden conditions or disabilities experience that. So I feel the people, it's you guys who design and build a space can help remove barriers for people like me who will flourish, who will succeed in life, and the difference that you could make to my life. If you just think around how can you create a space that's going to be inclusive, and it will improve culture and attitudes, and there's so many things that you can do, and we're happy to share with you what we've got, the information that we've got to help you build more accessible spaces and more inclusive spaces.
And just to, I wanted to read out what participant has said. Obviously, please do not put more messages in. Please send us your feedback on email, because we will be issuing a certificate attendance for 2 hours, 30 minutes. But Uma from South Africa, I wish I could express better how this webinar is helpful. Thank you for everyone. It's really, really inspiring presenters. Very emotional webinar. Not dry eye in the house after this. people aren't crying. They're not going to cry anymore because they know what you guys have done. Big applause to all panelists. Best CPD I ever followed. Thank you to all these webinar presenters. Great insight and sharing experience. Wow, great presentation from Andy. Inspiring speakers. Hat off to everybody. Keep inspiring us. Vidya, such powerful intervention from all the panelists. You have really helped us understanding so many other aspects of our life. A fantastic webinar from Andreas. Thank you so much. Vidya, again, wow. Chris Padachi, this webinar, the very first one made me get goosebumps and left me in all tears. I love you all, sweet people. Thank you, Anil, and everybody else, and the presenter. A huge thanks to panelists for educating us on inclusive design through personal experience. And the presentation should be shown by Kalpana. The presentation should be shown to all HR in all companies and all recruitment companies, as this is really, really important webinar. So please do not put any Q&A in as we conclude. So thank you very much indeed. Just stay where you are, all the presenters. And I'm just going to share my screen with you all, and as we conclude. So just bear with me. And here we go. So almost there now. And thank you very much indeed. So as you can see my screen, everybody? Right, so you can see my screen. Okay, so that was where we left it, and as we complete. So thank you very much. We will be working for our next CPD. We have the honor and privilege to welcome Derek Allen Mason, who actually worked on the Olympic Stadium in 2012, and he will share his experience of Will It Stand Up. So he's got a book, wrote on Olympic Stadium in 2012, one of the biggest, Paralympic project, and one of the biggest Paralympic and one of the biggest Olympic, successful event ever. So take care, be safe. Mauritius is coming out of the lockdown tomorrow. A lot of people excited. Obviously be safe. And I want to just share something with you as we conclude. Be a champion of inclusive design as we take away lots of credit from the speakers today. Inclusive design must be considered at the outset of the design process and remain integral throughout. This will help deliver an environment in which everyone can access and benefit. So I'm going to ask you a question, everybody, and the panelists can vote as well. So the poll is, will you endeavor to be fully inclusive? And I'm going to share that now. So launch polling now. And if you can see my screen, everybody, please, please, please put your vote in. And will you endeavor to be fully inclusive? Good design is inclusive design, as the British standard says. So please, please, please put your vote in. We would like to know, and there's about already 60%, and there's about 140 of you watching us after 2 hours and 30 minutes. And it's incredible marathon from all the presenters. So I'm gonna, 72% of you have voted. That is more than 100 of you have voted, 104. And I'm just gonna end polling now and share the result with all the speakers. Wow. 99% of you said yes, you want to be inclusive. You want to be inclusive. The 1%, I believe, he's hungry because it's lunchtime in Mauritius. So not to worry, we will convince you. But 99% of you decided to be part of that. So I want to stop sharing. Let me just take the views of Sean. And I want to just take that. Obviously, keep the nice 2 meters. But before I do this, you can see my screen as well. Keep the nice to by Sir Bruce Forsyth and the webinar. So I'm gonna stop sharing result and then bring back the speakers, and just bear with me. So Sean, I'm gonna start with Abhishek before we conclude now. Abhishek, what do you think of 99%? Now they understand inclusive design, now they wanna make a difference. Your quick views before we move on to the next speakers and conclude. Abhishek.
Now the matter is, now since it has become understanding, so it's high time to implement it, wordings into actions.
Yeah, excellent. Thank you. Arti, when we started, 50% went away, 51% went away of inclusive design. Now 99% said they want to be part of this. Your final word, RT, before we conclude.
So I'm happy that we could create the change. It means that the awareness raising has been successful, and don't worry, we'll come again to convince the one remaining person, but hats off to the 99%.
Thank you, RT. Thank you. I'll move on to Yasin. What do you think about the 99%? What's your views on that?
I think it's great that 99% people have understood all about inclusive design and accessibility. And I believe now that not only persons with disabilities, but everyone now can be an agent of change so that this can be implemented and we have a world with full inclusive design and accessible world.
Wow, thank you. Davison, quickly on your side, unmute yourself. Would you now embrace inclusive design in your construction project, for instance?
Yes, yes, indeed. And I would like to just end on that with a quote from Winston Churchill, which said, "We shape our buildings and thereafter they shape us." So for all the construction in the industry, let us work together for people with disabilities to have a more inclusive building and facilitate their lives thereafter.
Thank you very much. Sean, final word from you. 50% went aware, and what you've just shown there, we want to be inclusive. Quick word from you before we move on to Lena.
No, I think it's an amazing result. It's impressive. So many people just with that, you know, brief amount of time spent listening to these stories and the powerful stories, how important it is, and everybody can see that. I think it's important to recognize that inclusive design is something that suits everybody, and we will all need to have inclusive design at some point as we age. Disability comes to us all. So embed it now for yourselves and for everybody else.
Wow, thank you, Sean. And Lena, you mentioned something in your statement that if you can't do something, but you might have a skill to do something else that someone else can't. I mean, if you can conclude on that, Lena, that'd be awesome.
Yeah, basically, I feel like people hopefully will take away the fact that they have the power to make a difference to someone's life. No matter how small that change is that you can make, it's actually a big deal for the person who's going to be, you know, visiting the premises, whether it's a building, whether it's an educational institution, or whether it's a, you know, organization, employer. You can make a difference by making a small change. It's amazing how small changes can make a big difference in someone's life. Yeah. So I hope people are able to take that away and also include people in the conversations. The people who have lived experience should be involved in the design process from the beginning to the end, because that will make a huge difference in how inclusive a place can be.
Yeah, okay. Thank you very much indeed. I would like to thank you, everybody. It's emotional for me right now to leave all of you. I don't want to go. I just don't want to go. I want to be here. I want to be here, keep talking to you, and then you can keep inspiring me. You can inspire everybody right now. Everybody, can you put your hands up, please, for all these speakers today, for everybody who's been part of this. I will never forget this CPD, because I think it's been truly groundbreaking, unprecedented during, you know, a difficult time for all of us. And thank you for giving back your time. I'm really touched for all of you who accepted the invite and for being here today. So maybe a big wave now to everybody before we conclude and say hi, bye to everyone from wherever you are. So thank you, guys. And please put your comments on WhatsApp. Please put your comments on email. Let us know your feedback, and then I'll forward that to all the speakers. So thank you very much indeed. Have a great Saturday, wherever you are in the world, and take care. All right, thank you. All right, thank you very much indeed. Bye all, bye.
Bye.